Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Arias, and today we're going to be talking about all of the partnerships and press releases Ginkgo came out with about a month ago. There was one in particular that was very interesting, and I think that will be extremely important going forward for Ginkgo, so stick around for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and leave any video suggestions and feedback in the comments below. And without further ado, let's get into it. All of these press releases came within about a week of each other, back in April. Most of them are pretty inconsequential, so I'll move quickly through the first few and spend more time on the last one. The first of these press releases was a partnership between Ginkgo and Microba Biosciences to announce a partnership to discover novel live biotherapeutics. These biotherapeutics will be gut and microbiome focused, which, as you will see soon, will become a theme over the next few press releases. They will look to use these to target autoimmune diseases using Ginkgo's high-throughput aerobic culturing, multiomics data collection and analysis, functional bioassay screening, and media and fermentation optimization capabilities. The reason that I have found this partnership interesting is I'm starting to think that the gut has a huge but largely not understood effects on health. This partnership with Ginkgo's screening capabilities may be able to work wonders in developing new information about how the gut interacts with overall health. With that being said, there is at least a chance that Ginkgo gets interested by the research they are doing for Microbiome and decides to do some more internal R&D into the matter or possibly start a platform venture. Back to the press release, they specifically stated they're going to look for cures for lupus, psoriatic arthritis, and certain types of autoimmune liver diseases. The initial partnership will run for 2 years, and another thing that makes this press release interesting is that it comes with an investment by Ginkgo of $3.5 million, taking about a 4% stake. Microbiome IPO'd in April at the time of the press release, raising about $30 million at about a $125 million market cap, that has since drawn down to about the $75 million mark. The investment, I think, signals Ginkgo's commitment towards Microbiome, but also towards the potential for treatments from live biological therapeutics, which they're developing the expertise in that space. Next up is a platform venture with Elanco, who provides pharmaceuticals and vaccinations for animals to create Biome Edit. Elanco has about a $10 billion market cap, meaning they are much larger and more established than all but one of the other companies we'll be talking about today. Biome Edit is a platform venture between Ginkgo and Elanco to discover, develop, and introduce novel probiotics, bioactive molecules, engineered microbial medicines, and microbial monitoring services for animal health. The end products from this development could include medicated feed ingredients, nutritional health and therapeutics for livestock and pet species, as well as biosecurity technology for animal disease monitoring. Biome Edit will be formed as a platform venture with what was formerly Elanco's pipeline of ongoing programs, as well as Elanco's staff and IP. Ginkgo will also contribute IP as well as the use of their platform, of course. Biome Edit is launching with a targeted $40 million Series A with participation from a variety of outside investors. In exchange for their assets and IP, Ginkgo and Elanco will retain 40% proportional combined ownership in Biome Edit. I would be interested to hear more information about how the ownership is set up. Is it 50-50 Ginkgo-Elanco or some other ratio? Another interesting note is Elanco's shares are non-voting shares. I wonder why this is the case, and if anybody has any idea, feel free to leave it in the comments below. This partnership is another example of how Ginkgo is committing R&D to the microbiome space. Biome Edit has huge potential as they are addressing a massive market in pet and livestock pharmaceuticals, and they have the potential to do massive good in the world as many problems are derived from current livestock feeding and care practices, and I will be keen to watch this development going forward. Next up was a partnership with Persephone Biosciences to develop more novel live microbial therapeutics. So far, we are 3 for 3 with press releases targeting some type of live microbial therapeutic, and I think this shows Ginkgo's commitment and belief in this area. The interesting note from this partnership is they will be using common gastrointestinal microbiota called bacteroids. Bacteroids have shown themselves to be useful for genetic engineering and are a promising candidate to deliver medicines long term. Ginkgo and Persephone will be developing a toolkit for genetically engineering bacteroids, as well as using the bacteroids toolkit to create new therapeutics after its development. Persephone is a tiny company with only 11 employees on LinkedIn. They have a very smooth website that, unfortunately, gave me next to no information on what they are actually trying to do. The only reason that I think that they got this press release was to publish the development of the Bacteroids toolkit. This toolkit could be broadly useful for all sorts of companies out there, and I think Ginkgo wanted more to know about it so they could perhaps get in some inbound demand to use it. Otherwise, I don't think this would earn a press release, as Ginkgo signs deals like this all the time. This further cements their commitment to live microbial therapeutics, and we'll have to watch this closely as this space plays out going forward, as Ginkgo has a chance to lead here. This next press release doesn't have a massive market or world-changing potential, but is pretty cool nonetheless. Ginkgo has partnered with a company called Light Bio to help them improve the design of their luminescent plants. These plants basically glow in the dark. Light Bio has already gotten some pretty impressive results, but are now turning to Ginkgo to help improve their output and efficiency. While this isn't some world-changing application, there are two things that make this interesting. First, Light Bio has stated they are not just going to stop with one type of glowing plant, but will look to expand this drastically throughout many types of plants. This will need many small alterations, something that Ginkgo's platform is extremely well suited for, and I am excited to see it proliferate. The second thing is, this is another step towards Ginkgo working with complex multicellular organisms, something that they are not usually doing, as they regularly work with yeast or other single-celled organisms. But this is only up until recently, as we'll see later. The more complexity that Ginkgo can take on and master, the even bigger the already gargantuan TAM grows. Before we get to Ginkgo's big announcement, we have a partnership with FredSense to develop water biosensors. Water quality has become a growing issue as the world has industrialized and people have started living closer together in bigger numbers. There are some problems with testing water quality that especially come from a delay when a test is taken to when it can be analyzed due to transportation time. However, FredSense has developed and will continue to look to improve sensors that can analyze water quickly at the source, dramatically shortening lead times and enabling the real-time monitoring of groundwater and industrial water management systems. Ginkgo will look to develop 4 distinct biosensors that will look to be compatible with FredSense hardware. It appears to me that FredSense has already launched a product and thus would be looking for improvements in their process by using biology developed on Ginkgo's platform. FredSense is yet another example of Ginkgo's platform's range at play, showing how many different types of products they can develop. It is also something that will provide definite good to the world if developed, and that is the type of company I want to be behind. Now for the big development that I'm very excited for. Ginkgo is restructuring their partnership with Bayer and Join Bio to drastically expand Ginkgo's platform's abilities. They will do this by acquiring Bayer's West Sacramento agricultural biologicals site and team. This will add a 175,000 square foot facility with pilot-scale fermentation, formulation, and greenhouse facilities. Ginkgo would also acquire Bayer's large agricultural strain collection, which I find particularly interesting in terms of the long-term potential implications of having such an asset. We'll have to keep an eye out for where that goes. As part of the agreement, Join Bio will also be integrated into the parent companies, with Bayer getting to advance the current products in collaboration with Ginkgo, and Ginkgo getting the core technology, learnings, and team from Join Bio. As we move on to the next slide, I want to introduce the problem that this new part of their platform will look to solve. The human population is set to explode in some parts of the world, particularly in the continent of Africa, over the next 100 years. Some of these places already have massive food shortages, which have the potential to worsen as climate shifts over the next decade. Additionally, famines have the potential to become more severe due to increasingly drastic swings in weather. Furthermore, globalization has increased the prevalence of novel pests and diseases, placing further burden on farmers. It's becoming more and more important to develop the ability to grow more crops in less suitable places, under less suitable conditions, and of course, if you can find a way to do it at lower cost, that would be optimal. There is clearly a large problem here to be solved in the long term, in addition to the short-term pressures that have recently been put on, like rising fertilizer costs. Enter Ginkgo with this agreement. I think Ginkgo is showing how much value they see in the potential for them to work in agricultural research and development, and they are creating a new sector of their platform to build with. Bayer will become the anchor customer of Ginkgo's new platform and will continue to develop the nitrogen fixation program, which has a mind-boggling potential, as well as initiate new programs like next-gen crop protection and carbon sequestration. Another interesting note is that they expect the cash coming in from Bayer to significantly offset the expenses they would have to put towards building this new platform. From my point of view, that means a fairly significant amount of revenue will be coming from this collaboration because the development won't be cheap, meaning a significant amount of revenue would have to come in to significantly offset it. However, part of me has to wonder what Ginkgo's giving up here. They didn't mention any cash considerations, but they're going to get the team and the facility from Bayer and the team and facility from Join and Learnings, and Bayer is going to have to pay them to continue to develop their program. That seems like a lot to me, and they must be giving something back to Bayer, like upside in the nitrogen fixation program. To sum things up, I think this is a tremendous win for Ginkgo, as they're going to be able to take their team and learnings from Join Bio and Bayer and be able to create a new part of the platform centered around them, which will open up the ability to work with outside entities with further ambition rather than just being focused on Join Bio. At risk of being hyperbolic, Ginkgo has a very real chance to help usher in the fourth agricultural revolution with these new abilities. Finally, for my conclusions. I think this deal with Bayer and Join Bio may turn out to be a huge deal in the long term, as it will be another sector of development that Ginkgo can open up to and expand. I can't wait to watch this whole business and all of its development play out long term. Ginkgo recently released their earnings date for the first quarter, which will be May 16th, and I'll cover that here. While Ginkgo still has massive execution risk attached to it, the potential reward is massive and growing. Ginkgo is also one of those companies that is quite clearly changing the world for the better, which is the type of company that I want to own. As for what I am doing with my position in Ginkgo, I'm still adding as recently as today, especially at all-time lows. Ginkgo makes up about 2.7% of my portfolio and about 12% of my portfolio ex-Tesla, and I'm still looking to grow my position size. Thanks for watching. What do you think of Ginkgo Bioworks and all of these press releases, especially the most recent one? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching and have a great rest of your day.